of the.
Yes, to the cloud.
Maddie is here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CEC15 April 26th calendar meeting. I am Camille Casaretti, the president of CEC15, and I am going to hand the floor over to our interpretation team. Edward, do you want to start? Edward, you're on mute. Maybe we're having some technical difficulty.
Hello? Hi. Should
Go
I
ahead.
should I make some announcement?
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. The following announcement will be made in Mandarin. 如果你是想收听国语翻译，请拨入电话号码347-966-4114，输入 PIN 号码449-752-265，然后按井字。如果你想收听翻译，同时留在这个 Zoom 会议室，以便收看会议，请把你的电脑和麦克风都调到静音。然后在你的手机上拨入会议专线，重复一次，电话号码347-966-4114， PIN 号码是449-752-265，然后按井字。This is the end of the Mandarin announcement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And may we have the Spanish interpreter please make an announcement?
Yes, this message is in Spanish. Para las personas que desean escuchar el audio en español, la línea de conferencia en español es 347-966-4114 e ingrese la clave 465-663-052 y presiona el signo numeral. Nuevamente, el número de teléfono para la línea de conferencia de español es 347-966-4114 e ingrese la clave 465-663-052, signo numeral. This is the end of the Spanish announcement.
Thank you so much. Antonia, I'll hand the floor over to you for roll call.
Okay. So we called the meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. and Camille Casaretti.
Present.
Antonia Ferraro, yes, I'm here. Tia Shellsteed.
Present.
Vincent Liu.
Present.
Nana Poku Ajakum.
Present.
Alfred DeAngelis. Does anybody see Alfred in the maybe he'll come later. Joseph Alexander.
Present.
Ivan Banda is requesting an excused absence. He is still out of the country. I think he's returning right now and on a plane. Nancy Randall.
Hi, I'm present. I'm also on a plane and I might be not able to rejoin after we take off, but I will, I have Wi-Fi, so hopefully I will be able to rejoin shortly.
Okay.
After we take off.
Okay. Vanessa Gonzalez Uoka.
Present.
Nakia Muhasa Brown.
Present.
And Jared Moser.
Present.
All right, great. So I will just read the introduction to CEC 15. Thank you all for coming to District 15's Community Education Council meeting tonight. We appreciate your time and we're glad that you could join us. For those of you who are new to CEC meetings, there are 32 CECs across the city, plus 4 citywide councils. Each CEC represents a community school district, and each is made up of 11 volunteer members, 9 of whom are elected by parents in the district, and the remaining members are appointed by the Brooklyn Borough President, and we have 1 high school member. CEC 15 is a state mandated public body responsible for ensuring that public school parents and the public have input in educational decisions that are made at the school district level. Our council reviews education policies and advocates for high quality education that benefit all of our District 15 public elementary and middle school students. CEC 15 serves 35 elementary and middle schools and 1 high school. CEC members serve in an advisory role on education matters to the district superintendent, the chancellor of the Department of Education, and elected officials. We approve district school zoning lines submitted by the Department of Education. We evaluate our district superintendent. We review the district's educational programs, and we support school leadership teams. We also submit recommendations for the School Construction Authority's annual capital plan. We actively seek input and feedback from the public and encourage you to visit our website, cecd15.org, and take a look at our Facebook page or write to us about any issues you may want to address or learn about. All of our names and contact info are available on our website. And please remember to sign the attendance sheet. I will put that link in the chat for everybody. And now I'll turn it over to our parliamentarian, Joe Alexander.
All right, thank you, Antonia. Effective April 15, 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul signed Executive Order 11.5, extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State open meeting law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings until the state of emergency for COVID-19 expires, I believe, May 15, 2022. As a result of recent amendments to the open meetings law, citywide and community education councils can continue to hold virtual meetings or hybrid meetings until June 8th, which will be our next meeting. After that date, councils will no longer be able to hold fully remote meetings, but may choose to hold hybrid meetings provided certain requirements are satisfied. Tonight's meeting is taking place remotely and will include a public comment period so that we may allow for additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on for your own privacy if you prefer. You may use audio only during the comment. You may also use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. Rules of engagement. When you comment, please respect the privacy of others. Please do not include the names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, you may add comments to the chat or raise your hand to speak. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as time allows. It is possible that not every question will be given time. So the best way to get your question answered is to always write us at our email address. I'll put it in the chat for everyone right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our April calendar meeting. Again, I'm Camille Passaretti. I'm the president of CEC15. Glad to have you all here on the call with us. If you missed our last meeting, we had the director of safety from the Department of Education come to talk to us about safety protocols. This was all in the wake of the Sunset Park shooting. I believe Superintendent Scott will talk a little bit about that later, but very important information, fantastic conversation. And that video is available on our YouTube channel. We always post our videos, try to do that very, very quickly so that you have access to the information. And if somebody could drop the link in the chat, that would be great. But you could go to YouTube and just look up CEC15, and I'm pretty sure it popped up. So we were hoping to review a resolution tonight on expansion of Title I funding, but that is still being worked on. And so please look for that at our next meeting. Tomorrow night, the panel for education policy is meeting, and they are going to be voting on fair student funding weights. CEC15 had voted on a resolution a year ago, almost this month. And because the DOE never did actually change the fair student funding weights from last year, it all pretty much still holds true. And so that has been submitted to the panel for education policy. Please be aware that these meetings are open to the public. This is the City Board of Education, and every parent has a right to be there and share any concerns that they have related to education. Public comment sign up begins at 5:30 and it usually closes by 6:15. So if you would like to go on to that call, the chancellor is there and all of our panel for education policy representatives, including Kazine Dodd, who had been here at one of our more recent meetings, and Thomas Shepard, the PET parent representative. Speaking of which, the application period for PEP parent member is now open, and we did share all of that information in an email recently. If you did not receive that and would like to be on our mailing list, please write to cec15@schools.nyc.gov. This morning, we had a diversity committee meeting. Nancy Randall is our chair, doing a fantastic job, and we are constantly working to find new
You're breaking up, Camille.
I think she may got disconnected.
She still appears to be
Leader.
here, but I'm trying to stop her video, but it doesn't seem to be working. She seems to be frozen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Now we can.
Okay, because my screen also is frozen, so we are not alone. I'll just try to wrap it up quickly. Our next calendar meeting is May 31st, so please save the date. We are going to have
Camille, you have to stop your own video. I can't do it for some reason.
it's going to be Monday night starting next week. And we'll be sharing that information via email with everyone. So I am finished with my report. And if any CEC members have anything that they would like to add, now would be the time.
Camille, can you stop your video? Because I can't do it from my end. I keep trying.
I cannot stop my video. But I can leave and come back. I'll have to shut the computer.
Camille, should we just move on to the superintendent report? Anita, are you available?
I am absolutely available.
Okay, maybe we should just move on to the superintendent's report, and can someone from your team share? I will give them co-hosting privileges.
Nicole, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Please share our
Hi.
PowerPoint.
Let me find Nicole in the list and give her privileges. All right, Nicole, you are now a co-host.
Nicole, just do slideshow start from the beginning. Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Next slide, please. I want to welcome you. We have a full agenda. We have obviously welcome and greetings, and I want to take a moment to share. I know that we're at the end of the month, but I want us to honor that it was a month filled with joyous occasions and special thoughts. It was Passover, Easter, Ramadan, which is still going on, and it was National Autism Awareness Month and Earth Day. So April is a month that is filled with times for reflection and thought. And I think of it as a special convergence because these three holidays came together for the first time in 33 years. So we wish everybody a joyous holiday season, and we keep you all in our hearts and thoughts. Next slide, please. I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about the subway shooting. On April 14th, on a Tuesday morning, people were going to school, people were going to work, and we were faced with a horrific and unexpected act that literally happened in Sunset Park in District 15 near many of our schools. And we have to give kudos to the district team and our school leaders, and immediately went into action. Every single school was called individually to confirm that there was a district-wide modified shelter in. And by a shelter in, it means that all the children and all the people that are in the building do not leave the building. And ordinarily, nobody else would be allowed in. However, because there were children who came to school late or staff who came in, if they could be verified visually, then they were allowed to enter the building. No parents were allowed to pick up children and take them home. And I have to give kudos to our parents who were just amazing and responsive and understood this. We only had a couple of calls, and the principals were very specific and very clear. And one of the things that we were very, very proud of was that parents would later talk to the press and say how safe they felt their children were in their schools. We were personally in contact with the borough safety director throughout the day to ensure that everybody was following appropriate protocols, and that as the shelter in was lifted for certain schools, that they went back to their normal school day. I have to give a shout out to DC 37. Their leader called our district office personally to see if there's anything that we needed support with. But I also have to give a shout out to our food services person, Meredith Keeley. Meredith is an extraordinary woman who comes to our district leadership team meetings monthly, and who made sure that because kids could not go out and staff could not go out, that everybody in the buildings during the shelter in was fed, including staff members. So there was food, there were snacks, and everybody was covered no matter what. And we're very grateful for that. And this is due to our close relationship with food services and the kind of support person that Meredith is. So we thank her. We were very delighted, thank God. We did not have, this could have been horrific in a way that we don't even want to talk about. And we're grateful that our children are okay. We provided absolutely additional traumatic support with guidance. Counselors supported them. We had one child who was in the same car. We had children who were in the car next door and who spoke with the police and gave information. Everybody was amazing. And it also highlighted things that we're going to do. As I said, we called every single school and we spoke to people during the day at least once or twice, maybe more. We are setting up our own district communication system because we also emailed everybody and they responded immediately, but sometimes emails with Wi-Fi or issues are problematic. And so we're setting up an emergency response system district-wide to make sure that we can always be in contact as a result of this incident. Thank God everybody's okay, and we're super grateful for the way that it was handled. Kudos to our school safety staff who were supportive and wonderful, and to all the people in the schools who did an amazing job, especially our school leaders. So thank you to all of them. Summarizing very quickly. The summarizing program is specifically referring to the K-8 instructional program. It does not refer to the high school. It will run from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. as it did last summer. DOE instruction is from 8 to 12, Monday through Thursday. And then at 12 o'clock, the CBO-led component of recreation and support will kick in, and they will run till 6 o'clock. All day Friday will be CBO led. For elementary schools, this means that the session will run for 7 weeks from July 5th through August 19th. For middle schools, it will run 6 weeks from July 5th through August 12th. The week 7 of the elementary school will be CBO led. The DOE this year is in charge of the enrollment. They will own the enrollment. Last year, if you remember, DCYD was in charge of enrollment and there was some confusion. So this year it is being run by the Department of Education. It launched this Monday at 8 a.m. And I have to tell you that many of our schools are already filled. Based on historical data, however, Central has ensured that seats are set aside to support students who are mandated to attend summer school. So if you're mandated, you're getting a seat no matter what. Questions have been asked about EYS students. These are children who are in special education programs that run 12 months a year. They do not have to put in a separate summarizing application. Their children are also invited to stay for the CBO program. However, their busing time mandates when they would leave if they have to take the bus. So that would be leaving a little earlier, probably closer to 3 o'clock. Okay. I know we're going to have a lot of questions about gifted. So if there are any questions about summarizing, I'm happy to take them now. Okay, we'll go on. Gifted.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, Vincent.
Just quick question about summarizing. I know that the seats are very, very limited. Just to give you some perspective, like PS94, we have like
It's filled.
over 1,000 students, and I was told that there were only like less than 400 seats. So it was like filled in matter of maybe less than a day. So do you think there would be more bandwidth or more seats made available to other channel or in the future? Do you have any of those information?
I can find out for you. I know that there are other sites that are open, but I can ask if we could either open another site, which I doubt. They've been very strict about the number of sites. And they're also keeping the, remember that the promotion and doubt determinations have not been made yet. So they're keeping some seats back for children who are mandated to go to summer school. So I can't say to you, Vincent, for sure, but I'm happy to ask.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
And I just want you to know, Vincent, 94 is not alone. Many of our
Yeah.
schools are filled already. This is
Yeah,
a
that's how
very
I feel as
popular
well.
program. Yeah.
Yeah. Sunset Park area. I've heard all the school are experiencing the same thing. Like seat are filled within a day. So yeah, it's in high demand. So if we can make the more seat available in the future, that'll be very helpful.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on from summarizing and we're going to get to the gifted and talented central expansion. So, so let me give you the vision of what the Department of Ed, what the mayor's office, what the chancellor's office has said they are doing. Gifted and talented is being expanded in two ways. We have kindergarten seats and 3 sites in District 15. We have PS 230, PS 32, and PS 38. Those programs will continue the way they are. They are K-5 programs. Kids come in for kindergarten from pre-K. What is being done differently is that they are asking districts to add 1 grade 3 class per district, and a site that the CEC and the district office will comment together on and determine. 1 class that will be in a school and that will take kids who are the top 10% of each school. So they are not the top 10% of the district. They are the top 10% school by school. And that's very important to understand. It is not just the top 10% of the district. It is the top 10% of second graders, school by school. These children will be eligible for a lottery. And they will be in a lottery should their parents choose to admit them to the lottery for the seats at the 1 class in 3rd grade in a new school. These are not being added to schools that already have gifted and talented. These are being, this 1 3rd grade class is being added to a different school in the district. This is the chancellor's expectation. What is different about the kindergarten seats is that every single pre-K child is going to be assessed by their teacher using a checklist that is very basic about questions about, do they show curiosity and things like that. So that there will again be a list of children who will be recommended by their teachers for the gifted and talented program the way they were this year, only that every child will be assessed. And then those children will also go into a lottery and they will fill the kindergarten seats in the 3 schools that we talked about. This is the protocol that the chancellor has selected. I want you to be very clear about this because I have spoken to them several times over the past couple of days. This is the protocol the chancellor has selected. Next slide. Again, just repeating it. They are adding kindergarten points for districts that do not have one. We already have them, so they are not adding anything for us. And it will be the families of the nominated students that can enter the lottery. They must apply and enter the lottery. However, nobody is forced to, and every child will be assessed. Next slide, please. Again, talking to the 3rd grade entry point. The chancellor has determined that every community school district, and I have spoken to my colleague superintendents today, and that includes District 13 and 16 and all the others, are expected to have at least one program, one class with a grade 3 entry point. Now, please realize you're talking about 32 children. I had asked if they would allow us to do more, and they said no, because it's a question of space. The children in second grade, their report card grades in ELA, math, science, and social studies will be used to determine the top 10% by school. And then the students will be able to apply for the district program. The families can choose to apply to a program and enter a lottery for admissions. In addition, professional learning and continued support will be offered to teachers and school leaders. Next slide, please. G&T sites will be selected in consultation with the community and the CEC, and we will be looking at space, location, community interest, school leader and teacher readiness. The deadline for the site selection is May 6th. Next slide. Skip this one. It's the same thing I've already said. Okay, so what does this mean in District 15? Yesterday was our DLT meeting, and we invited the CEC, and we had a lot of concern as the CEC has already written a resolution supporting school-wide enrichment as opposed to gifted and talented. And so I spoke at length yesterday and today to the office of the central office of this, and raised the concerns that were raised yesterday, which have been raised before, that the issue with gifted and talented is that it has resulted in racial and socioeconomic segregation, which is in direct opposition to our diversity integration initiative. We've reached out to the chancellor's office to raise these concerns, and this is what we were told. This is what they said. While these are mandates for the coming year, they will be revisited going forward with continuous opportunities for community input. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because I have an idea. These decisions were based on input that was heard from communities citywide, and the protocol and training being provided to teachers of gifted classes can also be shared and developed school-wide. So this is the response that I got from Central. Next slide. So these are some of the things that this is an idea that I thought about. I realize that there are people who would like very much to immediately eliminate gifted and talented. I was told that that is not going to happen this year. Having said that, I have an idea that I'd like you to think about. And it's funny that in our conversations, we began talking about WXY, and I'm going to talk to that in a minute. But the success of our diversity initiative in changing the application and enrollment process of middle schools was that we were able to bring community voices and input to the central DOE in a very strong and clearly defined manner. We have a unique opportunity now to do that again in a slightly different way. We have the opportunity to replicate the process, working with WXY again to do extensive outreach and define a plan for District 15 in terms of gifted and talented, whether it's school-wide enrichment or whatever. This would enable us to reach out to the community in exactly the same way that we did for our diversity initiative. Through our NICEP grant, we have already allocated funds for WXY. And may I add that we are still waiting waiting for approval of our grant monies from the PEP because there was an issue with the PEP. I have been on 5 meetings to explain what our grant is for and what we're using it for, because there was some confusion. Tazeen, I know you heard me because I was on it yesterday. And I spoke with Tom several times. I have another meeting on Friday. It's Tom. Hi, Tom. Tom raised the issue of support for homeschool children. We have the opportunity to therefore take this WXY funding and basically split it and take a piece of it and use it to do an evaluation of the diversity initiative as we plan to. But we also can use the preponderance of the funds to do a similar process in line with reaching out to the community and including the PAR process, so that we can get input from all members of the community about this, including Sunset Park, Red Hook, Windsor Terrace, et cetera, et cetera. It was very clear that this initiative with the second grade for the third grade, and I'll get to that in a minute, and the kindergarten, the pre-K for kindergarten, this is the direction that the chancellor the mayor are expecting us to go in for the coming school year. I was told that we could revisit it again next year, and I think that possibly doing it this way would enable us to put something forward that would show how to do this. So it would, through our grant, we could conduct enhanced PAR outreach and WXY forums for all the different voices in the community, and then present it to Central DOE as the vision from D15, exactly the same way we did with the middle school initiative. In addition to these things, again, using grant money, that has nothing to do with gifted and talented. We will be training district teachers to utilize a Reggio Emilia protocol for student-based inquiry learning across kindergarten classrooms. We will also be providing training in Renzulli school-wide enrichment to support and begin enhanced learning for all of our students. So these are the things that we're going to do as a district, that I would like us to do as a district. And all of this is because we are enabled to use our grant as soon as they okay the money. So this is the gifted piece. Next slide. Exactly. I need you, and Nicola's putting it in the chat. I need you to share your feedback specifically about the third grade, because when I spoke to Central, they asked me to provide feedback about the third grade. So please, we have created a link that you can enter your feedback in, and we will share it with Central. And feel free to enter everything you want to enter. There's room for you to write whatever you want. And with that, I will take the G&T questions.
May I make a quick comment followed by a few questions?
Sure, Vincent.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that the G&T is a bit controversial, but I think what I would want to say is that I understand there are parents who don't want their kids to enroll in accelerated learning environment like given talents programs. I think that's fine. You know, they have the choice, but we also have to acknowledge that there are also many parents who want it and who believe that their kids need it. And I believe that they should also be given the option to choose those kind of programs, you know. So now down to the question. I know that Sunset Park schools have high percentage of L students, right? How does the process with screening account for our English language learner? And that's first question. That's for the L students. And I know they mentioned about the site selection, right? So and the goal is to have one program in one school. But if there are schools willing to open the program, would they be given choice to allow more seats? And that's second question. And also that if a school is selected, would student within the school get preference to be considered? And the last question is that the for the WXY, I heard different opinion on the company. I know that the company is a bit notorious for being anti-merit. So I'm wondering, did DOE make that choice to partner with them, or it was our district's choice? Thank you. I know that the question was a little bit long.
Okay, so I'm going to try and answer. I'm going to try and answer your question. We worked with WXY when we did the diversity initiative. I found them to be willing to listen to any opinions. That's what I asked them to do. I'm assuming when you say anti-merit, you mean that they oppose the gifted program. I have never heard this. I haven't even discussed this with us. I'm bringing this to you, my CEC and my community, as an idea, as something that we could do that I think would be valuable. I feel very strong. I'm looking at the chat as it's going across my screen. We are going to work across the district to ensure that all of the schools have very rich programs, such as Reggio Emilia, such as school-wide enrichment, that we don't have to wait for them to be labeled as gifted programs. We can just do those and do the kind of high quality education that we're already doing in District 15. You have to remember that I go around to schools to see what's going on in terms of instruction. And I will tell you that I will stack up any school regular classroom against any school that thinks G&T is better, in all honesty. We have amazing instruction in some of our schools, most of our schools. I'm going to give you, Vincent, I'm going to use your school. I'm going to use 94. We have extraordinary instruction going on there. We have amazing instruction going on at 172, our senior school. We have wonderful learning going on, project-based learning. We have people on the CEC whose children go to middle schools where they are not touted as the gifted schools. The idea is to encourage our children to have project-based learning, hands-on, student-chosen experiences where they can pursue their learning, where they can explore and be supported. Every single one of our children has gifts and talents. There is not one child I have ever met in my life that didn't benefit from a high quality classroom and high quality instruction. That's what's happening in D15, and we're going to make it even better. That being said, we are part of the Department of Education of the City of New York. And we cannot, I cannot, maybe you can, I cannot say to the chancellor, we're getting rid of all of our gifted and talented because we don't want it. He is in charge. The mayor is in charge. This was a mayoral decision. Having said all of that, that doesn't mean we're not going to offer all of our children great opportunities. We offer all of our children great opportunities. District 15 has a reputation to uphold, and we uphold it every day. And if I invite you to go in and see the quality of the work that your children are experiencing and that all children are experiencing. And we're going to make it better. We're going to go even further. That's the goal of using our grant. Arsinia, I do work for the Department of Education. And yes, I wasn't hired by the mayor, actually.
Sorry,
And
I mean, you have to reapply, right? I mean,
I already reapplied. Yes, I
so
did.
yes, do you, my question is, are you still waiting to hear if you got the position back, or is the position, I just want to know if there's any other factors involved. That's all, just for full transparency.
So this, for completely transparency, to my understanding, what was told to me, I've already been through my interview. I chose to do it over the break week. What my understanding of this is, and some of you may have better knowledge of this than others, than I do even. We were told that there was going to be a component that had to do with the community evaluating choices. So that what my understanding is, and I'm being very transparent, is that they are going to give, I believe the CEC, I'm not sure, I believe the CEC, a list of 2 to 3 people who have applied in their district. Thanks, Matt. And they will, I'm assuming, interview or evaluate in some shape or form, very much like level 2 for a C30. And then they will submit the name to the chancellor the way I do for a principal. And then the chancellor will make a final decision. So is your question, am I supposed, if by supporting the chancellor's initiative, am I putting forward my name? Is that what you're saying? I am saying I would be saying this if I wasn't, because there is a reality to this. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to say to you, I already went to the central office, to the chancellor's office yesterday after DLT and said to them, my CEC and my DLT are vehemently opposed to gifted and talented. Would you allow us to pilot school-based enrichment? And they said no. I told them how you feel. I told them how adamant you are. I was told that even in a district where they had already voted school by school not to get rid of G&T, that is not being counted until more decision. They're not doing it. They have to do the 3rd grade as well.
Wait,
So
I'm sorry,
these are these 2 components.
What's your position on it?
I want school-wide enrichment. I want Reggio Emilia. I want all of our kids to learn. I don't see the value in segregating kids. I never have. I haven't, Arsinia.
Okay,
but
no,
I
I'm
cannot
just
make
learning,
the chancellor say yes. And
'cause
I would lie to you if I was.
that's why I'm asking, because I need to know this for full transparency. I mean, my concern is, I mean, are you just expressing that you've heard this from parents and from your leadership team? Or are you saying, like, you yourself, like, this is, we've done so much work in this district, and I can say my son and my family have personally benefited from this incredible district, and the families in my community have as well. And I just feel like this is going backwards, and it's just a complete disregard, and it's paternalistic, and it's telling us that we need to do this. And I don't see why we do. And we know we'll be spending so much more resources and time, and we're going to lose the momentum for all the incredible work that this district, I mean, this district, I travel the country and Zoom now, but people talk about this district. They listen to these podcasts, they hear about it. They like are asking how they can do similar things. This is something that banks should be so proud of. You should be so proud of, you know, the city, the state. And so I just, again, like, I don't see why this, we would have to adhere to something that's so contradictory to all the work that people have done. You know, not myself, I just benefited from it, but yeah.
Arsinia, I'm going to say again, forgive me, all of you, for me being redundant. The reason I went to the chancellor's office that handed gifted and talented and spoke to them yesterday. I spoke to them twice yesterday and once today. And I reiterated how people feel about this very strongly. We are not the only district that has raised this point. But I
Anita,
asked
I'm
if we
so
would be
sorry.
allowed to do
Anita.
this, and they said no. Yes,
The Mandarin interpretation line is having a problem, and they have been, and I want to try to resolve it before we go forward. I'm
Of
so
course.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, this is the Mandarin interpreter speaking. I'm so sorry to interrupt. And there were some really loud background noise with one of the parents not muting their phone. And there's a music playing. There's a periodic screaming at the children. And I don't think these parents understand the difference between muting her phone and turning off the sound of the phone. So is there any way that you can help mute the parents? Thank you.
Do we have any tech? Do we have a tech person here
Any
for the
interpreters?
interpretation team?
I can do it. If the interpreters put their numbers or send their numbers to me directly, I can mute everyone else that isn't you.
Who is you? Can you send us
This
the
is
chat?
Steve. Yeah, you just message me here.
Can I know how can I go to the Chinese lines?
Could somebody drop the phone number of the Chinese line in the chat, please? Sorry about that, Ms. Lynn.
And also, Steve, can you send the chat in the chatting so we can find you and send the last 4 digits of our phone number to you?
Yeah, please just send that to me.
The person that you should be sending it to is Steve Weiser. So here's his name in the chat, and you could maybe get it to drop down. You could write to him directly through the chat.
can I just answer one question that's not the controversial? When kids, no matter whether they're in G&T or not, go through the 5th grade and apply to the middle school process, they go through a lottery just like everybody else. There is no G&T in middle school in District 15. That was the whole point of the diversity initiative.
Joe?
Yes.
Joe Alexander, can you take over the comments from the public?
Yes.
But could we just confirm that the Mandarin line is working out okay now?
It doesn't seem to be. I keep hearing the.
This is the Mandarin interpreter speaking, and I still haven't find Steve in the chat and translating. And one of the parents seems a little upset, saying that he did not or she did not make the background noise, and she demand apologize because she does not think the noise is coming from her. But we did heard very loud and background noise when someone periodic screaming. But I don't think this person understand, or maybe it's not this person, but we did not mention anyone by name at all. So we did hear someone who has their microphone open on the Mandarin line with her background noise from, but we don't know which one is which, but there's a very loud background noise is going on for about like 15 minutes. And now I think there is someone in the chat typing on Chinese demanding apologize because the person claimed that the background noise did not come from her, but there is a woman who we don't know who is this person is talking to us on the line, and there's also ongoing Mandarin. There's also ongoing background noise with the music playing and some kind of dish sounding noise, or they're in some kind of street. So we have no idea what is going on, but the noise has stopped right now.
Thank you so much. And I would like to just make a formal apology to everyone and appreciate so much your patience while we're trying to create an environment where everybody is able to be a part of this conversation. And I know how hard and difficult it is
to have to operate 2 devices in this situation. And we are advocating to have that problem solved. Like, we recognize it and know it's a big problem, and we appreciate everybody who is on the interpretation lines, including our amazing interpreters. Thank you so much, and please reach out to us separately if you have ideas of how we can solve this problem, because we desperately want to solve it, and we want to make sure that everybody is able to participate fully. So thank you, and I'm very, very sorry.
Okay, are we prepared to move forward with public questions and comments? So please raise your hand if you have a question that we can address or comment.
Now Tom is trying to figure it out.
Tom?
Do you smell bad?
Unmute yourself, Tom,
Do you
please.
really? Because then you need to wear deodorant.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, sound good.
Okay. I'm just gonna make probably a 15-second comment. I just want to say that I find it disturbing that a policy that your district clearly rejects is being imposed on your district. And I believe that districts should have the flexibility to be able to, on some level, work out details of a program in a way that best benefits your own district. So that's the comment that I need to make. And I also put it in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Who else would like to be heard this evening on this topic? It's a public comment about what really both. Yes, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I wasn't sure because when I looked at the agenda, it looked like it was later. But I appreciate what the superintendent is saying, that there seems to be some kind of push, like an illogical push to have a limited number of students in the district have access to what is called gifted and talented. The implication being that the rest of the students are not gifted and not talented, which is deeply offensive. But I think, you know, if people see value in enriched learning, and accelerated learning is just surface level, not in depth. So I don't think anyone wants access to that. I hope they don't for their children. But if people want, if they see value in enriched education, then I believe District 15's plan to offer that to all students would be exactly what they're looking for. So I would like to have a town hall, Superintendent Scott, if you could, or Camille, if you could arrange to have the chancellor come face to face with this community and explain why we are not allowed to offer something they say is valuable to all students. I would really love to hear their answer to that, because right now their logic is not making any sense at all. They're basically saying segregation is more important than enrichment. And I find that harmful.
Thank you. And it says that, Camille, I think you said that is something we might be able to set up, a town hall.
Yeah, we absolutely can invite the chancellor and ask him to come and talk to us. And if he is unable or unwilling, we can still have our own town hall.
Thank you for that. Sasadi.
Hi, thank you. My question, and I am going to guess that the reason that they're saying that there's some equitability in this is that they're taking 10% or they're assessing, taking from the top 10% of each school, which is in effect, basically 2 students that will potentially be taken from each grade to go into this class. But how is this equitable in any way? And how are they actually going to follow through with that and know, have some true reporting on how it's equitable? And my guess is if this is going through 5th grade, we're going to have this situation when it comes to these now soon to be 3rd graders applying to middle school and 6th grade, that there's going to be a push for a G&T program to then enter into middle school. So that's my question in terms of how do you create a G&T program and then stop it once you get to middle school in a district where we have a lottery system? It's a huge amount of work for 32 students when our students have much greater needs. And as I mentioned in the comments too, when we have, as Vincent and other people have said, there's a huge demand for summer school and those seats are already filling. So we clearly have a need for a much greater number of students, and those needs should be assessed before we're putting a huge focus on 32 students within our district.
Thank you for that. Do I have any other questions or comments? And if not, I will move to Johanna.
Hi, I just wanted to say, like, I'm I for one am really unhappy that we aren't hearing from our Mandarin speaking parents who I know have very strong opinions about this. And I really would like to know, I really think this is I don't understand this process of why the DOE thinks it's a good idea to give golden tickets of opportunity and enrichment to such a small percentage of families. And I cannot for the life of me understand who would be in favor of this unless you are one of the people who gets the golden ticket. And whenever I hear these conversations, you hear all this passionate defense of how having the golden ticket has helped me and helped my child and made them so happy, and how I'm so panicked that if you don't expand this program and give more golden tickets, then my child will be left out. Well, I think that it's our job, it's as parents, as a district, as public education, to really assume that your child is not getting the golden ticket, that your child had the qualifications to have the golden ticket and did not have that golden ticket, and to make sure that the education we are providing for our students is what we would want in that situation. And I cannot, I agree that I think that we need to stand up and say that what we have done in District 15 in terms of showing that diversity benefits all students, that children are thriving in diverse communities, that our middle schools are still have not been abandoned since we've eliminated tracking, that in fact they still tend to be highly sought after, that this is the way forward. And I agree. I would love our superintendent to stand up and say this to the district, say no, we're not going through this silly exercise that's going to drain more resources, it's going to take already stretched staff and spread them even thinner and take money away, because every student who leaves the school for another classroom is taking anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 with them, because of fair student funding and because schools are funded by the number of students in the class.
Thank you. Joelle, forgive my pronunciation if that's wrong.
You got it exactly right. Thank you. Yes, so I want to definitely second everything Johanna just said, and that I don't know what the number of students, of 3rd grade students is, but to be going through all of this, to give 32 of them a golden ticket, all of the time and expense and assessment that's going to go into what is clearly something symbolic, when instead we have this opportunity. We've already set up a district that is set up for strong heterogeneous classrooms. And I tried to drop this in the chat, but I'm just going to read it here. This is Chancellor David Banks speaking on Brian Lehrer a few weeks ago, talking about his opinion of heterogeneous classrooms. And the question Brian Lehrer asked was what he felt conceptually about tracking. Does it really help slower learners or those starting further behind to learn in the same room as the faster or more advanced kids? Does it hurt the faster or advanced kids to be in a mixed group, as many of their parents apparently think it would? David Banks' response was, the answer is yes and no. Here's the yes. And I think in our district, we're very focused on the yes. That's what I want to emphasize here. The yes is that when well done, there is a lot of research that shows how students who may not be as accelerated in their learning can pick up more and advance their learning a bit more quickly when they are around their peers who get these concepts and can actually help them. There's research that also shows that if you're an accelerated learner, you deepen your learning. When you're able to explain your learning to somebody else, it helps you understand it even more. It becomes a win-win for everybody. That is the comment that's based on research. The rest of his comment was the challenge is that we don't often do it well. And when we don't do it well, everybody suffers. In this district, we are trying to create a model of doing it well, and we've taken a lot of steps to do that. And I know I can speak, my child is a 12th grader. He has been through children's school and then Park Slope Collegiate. He has never been in a non-heterogeneous classroom, and it has served him and his peers immensely well. And as I leave the Department of Education, I pray that this district continues that work, and that our superintendent stands up to the DOE and says, we are trying to create a crucial model here that will serve all of our children. And that is my comment.
Thank you for that. Rima, again, pronunciation, my fault.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. I have a question. Just in talking about equity and in using the word equity, I'm wondering what's the plan to expand specialized placements for students with IEPs? You know, since we're focusing on equity and spreading opportunity, there are many research-based programs such as NEST, for example, that benefit both the gen ed and the IEP students because it is a reduced size class. There is specialized training for the staff. There is special classroom set up, you know, physically in the classroom where it's organized for different kinds of learners with different sensory and learning needs to all be successful in the same environment. It doesn't make sense to create, like you said, 32 spots or new smaller classes when there are integrated smaller classes that model, I believe it was Ms. Baxter that was just speaking, the model of everybody learning from each other, that the quote unquote slower learners are learning from the faster learners because they're getting to see things modeled the way that they should be, and the other students get to explain, deepen their knowledge. You know, students learn from students. They listen to each other. I think that we're removing that aspect of opportunity for all of our students to be able to give that analysis of learning and to be able to learn differently from a student that may see it differently than that adult does, someone that looks and feels just like them. So I'd like to know what the plan for increasing all specialized programs are for every student in this district to have equal benefits and true equity, and not just for advanced learners, but for the 20% of learners that are identified in the entire city as needing specialized, you know, integrated instruction. Thank you.
So if I may respond, I want to say two things. One, thank you for bringing this up because I think it's super important. Two, the idea of us training our teachers to do a Reggio Emilia model or Renzulli enrichments is for all children, including our special needs children. I'm really committed, as we all are, to the idea that every one of our children benefits from enhanced, enriched learning. Because what are we really talking about? We're talking about wonderful experiences for kids. Experiences that are engaging, experiences that tap into what kids are interested in. Just because a kid struggles with reading doesn't mean that they are not a smart kid. Just because a kid is not the strongest in their number facts doesn't mean that they don't have other skills that are wonderful and that they're not strong thinkers. And so we have worked very hard as a district to ensure that the expectation level for all of our kids is that. Additionally, Rima, we are opening a brand new school come September that literally integrates children who have special needs that would be in D75 programs with general ed school children in a public school, community school setting. It is a first. We're very excited about this, and it is going to be a model. And the CEC has heard from Emily Shapiro, who's the project director, and I urge you to reach out to her if you want more information. We have always tried to enhance the opportunities for our nest kids, and I can tell you, having gone into the classes, that they are extraordinary, that they do the work that every other kids have. They have great ideas and great opinions. Our ICT classes are wonderful. We are in a position where we believe all of our kids can learn. And thank you, Joelle, for what you said about doing it well, because this is the standard we hold ourselves to. This is about quality learning for all children. I get how frustrated you are. I get that this sounds like, why are we doing this? This is not a policy that we bought and suggested to do this. This is something that, again, I'm going to say it, it's not popular with you guys, and I apologize profusely, but this is from the mayor to the chancellor. This is what was announced. Again, I asked if we could please do school-wide enrichment or do a model of project-based learning starting in the kindergarten. And I was told that we could not do that instead of this program. We can do things in addition, but we cannot do it instead. And so that's what we're planning for. We're going to make sure that the quality of instruction that is given to all of our children is elevated even more, because we're going to do the training and because we're going to put together wonderful opportunities of learning for kids at the youngest grade level and going up. And we are going to continue our diversity initiative. Nobody is taking that away from us. So thank you for asking that.
Yes, thank you to everyone who participated there. It's a very important topic. Let's move to CEC members for questions or comments. I will start since I don't see any hands yet. I was fortunate enough to participate last week on the City Council hearing on foster care students. And in my testimony, I expressed concern that sort of mirrored what Rima discussed. Specifically, I'm a psychotherapist in foster care. I work with arguably our most marginalized children. Every kid I've ever worked with over the years has experienced trauma, marginalization, and they're all DOE students. I'm a foster and now adoptive parent myself too of a DOE kid. And I just wonder, I was very disappointed by the amount of intellectual energy that is being put into the care and opportunity for the most marginalized kids in our system by the people who were sort of in charge of doing that. But equally disappointed to see the amount of intellectual energy that's being put into kids that aren't in the same predicament. It's disturbing indeed that this is where we're spending our time, but that's where we are. Vincent?
Yeah, Anita, I just want to refresh your mind on the few questions that I asked. I don't think those were responded to. I put in the chat without reiterate those same question again. I'm wondering, would you able to respond to those questions?
I can look.
All right, let me, yeah, I put it in chat twice, but anyway, let me
Oh,
read it
the
off
L
again.
question. I found it, Vincent. I found it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So the L question, the concept is not that the kids in the second grade would be looked at whether they're L's or not. It is the top 10% of children based on their report card grades. And that includes ELA, math, science, and social studies. Those are the 4 topics that have been defined as the criteria for the top 10% of second graders. In terms of students at the selected school getting preference, no. Nobody at the selected school gets preference. In terms of asking if we have more than one school that wishes to participate, I had already asked because 32 kids is not a lot of kids in a district as large as ours, even if you are trying to do this for gifted and talented. And I was told 1 school because they're looking at space, and District 15 is fortunate in that we do not have too many schools that have extensive space, and it is not being placed at a school that already has gifted and talented. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I think there are actually a lot of schools in D15 that don't currently offer gift and talents program. So yeah, and we are losing students like as compared to 5 years, right? Using PS94 example, I think we lost about 20%, at least more than 20% as compared with prior couple of years. So I'm sure that I'm sure we should have enough space to accommodate for more needs. I'm wondering how are those space being evaluated? And yeah, I don't think space should be the issue there.
Well, this is a decision that's going to be made with the CEC and the district and community talking about it. To be honest with you, if I was going to put the 3rd grade class anyway, I would like it to be put in Sunset Park because they've never had an opportunity for this. And I know that this is something that the community wants there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just hoping that there are, there are more opportunity for the whole district as well. But
Can
yeah.
I just please just take a minute to reiterate what I said before? District 15 prides itself justifiably on the quality of instruction in our district. And I want you to understand that our instruction is good and that there are many families who don't choose to put their kids in gifted and talented because they love the quality of instruction in their school. So please do not feel that this is because our children are at a loss. Our teachers are amazing, our children are amazing, and the work that's being done is just extraordinary, even in the schools that are the quote hidden gems that we don't talk about frequently. They're just astonishing. They're that good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Tia?
Hi, I feel like I already expressed my opinion at the DLT on this, and I agree with so many of our community members who are speaking up tonight, making so many independently worthy points. I just want to point out that Rayhan just suggested that we, since we're being consulted on the site of the classroom, that we go back to the DOE and say that every single classroom in the district should be a G&T classroom. I mean, I think that, I would like for the mayor to explain what he thinks the word gifted means. because, you know, I mean, the way that I think of it, true giftedness that, you know, that may require some kind of you know, specialized situation is very rare, you know, like if you're talking about like an Einstein or you know, Stephen Hawking or something like that. It's really rare. It's not the top 10% of every school. And you know, I think that you have been very supportive of the community's, you know, desire for equity and excellence for every student in the district. I guess, you know, I mean, I still want to argue very strongly that we, you know, reject the DOE's requirement that we have G&T, but since our specific we have been given the power to select the site. So, you know, whether we do Rayhan's idea or I mean, I just want to throw out this other idea, you know, what if we select an extremely undesirable site, you know, like a broom closet, as the site? I mean, they've empowered us to select the site. So just putting that out there.
Thank you, Tia. I think we needed that. Antonia.
That was great. That was great, Tia. So I just want to echo some things that were said on the call and some things that Anita said about my own child's experience. I know that as a CEC member, I'm not supposed to talk about my own child's experience, but I'm going to break that rule right now. My child did test for G&T 15 years ago. He did not get the golden ticket, but you know, he experienced such great instruction in his own school and enrichment at that level through programs like Learning Leaders and architecture programs and after school programs. And then he attended the school that the DOE placed him in for middle school. And this was prior to the D15 plan. And so it was a Title I school that many of my friends and neighbors wouldn't rank on their middle school application. And he experienced more enrichment there through multiple programs. And so I can't, he's going to college next year. He just got into Rensselaer Polytechnic and he got half of his tuition paid. Half of his tuition paid on a merit-based scholarship. I can't credit that to a G&T program. Sorry, but I can credit it to the school-wide enrichment that he experienced at every single step along the way of his path in District 15. So thank you, Anita. Sorry.
Thank you. You know, it is my privilege to, you have every right to be a proud mama. Congratulations. That's amazing. It is my privilege to go into every school to do PPOs and to visit classrooms. And it is incredible to see the work that we're seeing with children. I talk extensively about going into a NEST class and watching them debate the impact of political pressure and watching the kids who can't sit still but could add so much to the conversation. I was in a dual language class in another school, and the level of work that the kids were doing in terms of understanding literacy was just superb. And the whole class was conducted in Spanish. I've been in Chinese classes where I don't understand the language, but one of the children turned around and was miming the information to me because she wanted to make sure I understood what was going on. Because our children are not afraid to have discussions with adults, because we value student discourse, because we value student choice. Our kids are amazing. All of our kids are amazing. And the one thing that I will say, no matter what happens with this, is that every one of our kids, we're going to make it even better. We're going to work even harder to make sure that our teachers have what they need in terms of training, because we in the district believe that it should be children being seen and heard, children exploring topics that interest them under an umbrella of curriculum, children creating projects and then defending their projects, so to speak, the way you defend a dissertation and explain your findings. Children creating art and music and literature, things we haven't been able to do because of the pandemic. This is our moment in time. And we're going to make that happen next year for all of our children, no matter what happens with G&T. And that's what's important. So please, I understand, can I please just reiterate, please put your comments in the link so that I can share your concerns with Central. Because I need to be able to show them what you're thinking, and this is the best way to do it. You can put them in anonymously if you wish, but put them in the link. And we put it in the chat, Joelle. There's a link in the chat. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm muted. We have time. We really don't have time, but we'll finish off with Nana, Vanessa, and Camille, and then we really must move forward.
All right, thanks, Joe. I'm going to keep it brief here. I think most of what needs to be said has been said, but I just want to look at it from one angle, right? About the kids that are being pulled out as gifted and talented. The enormous pressure that is on a 4-year-old, telling them that you're so special that you need to be this. They're not going to have any sense of normalcy, right? It can be healthy for them as well, right? So it's a lose-lose situation on both ends. And the other kids that are sitting in the class that are not being pulled out of the 10% are going to ask themselves, what is wrong with me? Why wasn't that part of that? So to me, as an IEP rep, right, on the IEP side, they're looking for inclusion to be part of the normalcy. And we're sort of creating a reverse in that situation, in that scenario, which doesn't benefit any child at all in terms of their mental health at this point. Things have changed, especially with District 15, with the curriculum, right? Because basically when someone is say gifted and talented, what they are meaning is that public school is not sophisticated enough to handle some sort of brilliancy, which is not so untrue when it comes to this district specifically. So that's what we need to relook at, and that's one of the things that we need to put forward and say that, show me any brilliant kid within this community that has survived, like Antonio said, and we can show them that there is enough rigid curriculum on a district-based level that can be able to handle that intellectuality. So that's what I just want to mention and just keep it brief over here. Thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa?
Yes, thank you for listening, Anita. I think that we all agree that this is a policy that the DOE is imposing on a district that clearly is rejecting it. I mean, I don't know how some of the schools with majority ELL students will be unable to perform on a test that it's inherently staggered against them. And then we can call this an equitable solution when it's certainly not, and it's not going to benefit children from disadvantaged socioeconomical status, non-affluent English speakers, and it's just disregarding the community that needs it the most, which to my understanding, this consideration of expanding G&T was supposed to be made with the consultation of the community. And if we're rejecting it, where are the voices of the majority, being considered? I do believe that our district needs to fight to have the flexibility to do what we agree is in the best interest for our students. And we have to commit to a model that allows us to provide accelerated and enriching learning opportunities for all without taking the resources away from the majority of the students to give it to a minority of what we label as gifted or talented, when we see that talent in different ways in all of our students. I will second the sentiment on having a town hall with Chancellor Banks and having you present, and I hope to have you support as well on this meeting, and letting the community speak to what we believe is the best course of action for children. Thank you.
Thank you. Camille?
Thank you, Joe. Nicole, if you're still there, could you drop the link to the Google form? Thank you. Okay, so I was at the district leadership team meeting yesterday, and I said a lot there, and again at the diversity team meeting this morning. But I believe in my heart that as board members, it is our duty to call out and change any racist practices that are holding back the majority of our students. Just call out these things. And the school-wide enrichment model has proven to increase academic outcomes as well as develop the gifts and talents of every child. So what we need is SEM, not G&T. That is really what the school system needs to advance equity and academic achievement for every one of our children. So I feel like we just keep having this conversation over and over and over and over again for years. This is my 7th year on the council, and I feel like this is the 7th year we're having the same exact conversation. So I just want to stop going in circles and make sure that all of our children are getting what they need. And thank you.
Thank you. Now we really must move forward to our high school presentation.
Joe, Jared wanted to say something, and I think it's important to hear a student voice.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, from a student perspective, I feel like there are very significant challenges to learning in an integrated environment with former G&T students and non-G&T students. How are non-G&T students going to feel when you have G&T students who are already ahead, getting the material much quicker and, essentially sleeping in class because they're so bored, they've seen this material, they understand it, going over it again. I've seen it happen before. And for that to happen, it's just going to be a huge disconnect. The non-G&T students are going to be like, why can't I get it like that? Why can't I get it that quickly? It's going to essentially cause a rift in a class, and everyone's going to be learning at different speeds, and it's not going to be an efficient setup. Where have I seen this before? A bunch of places, high school, middle school, elementary school, everyone learns at a different pace. And I think we have to accept that and embrace that. It's okay that some people don't learn at the same pace as others, but we do have to account for that.
Thank you. Now we will have to move forward to our high school presentation.
Good evening. Joe, do I have capacity to share my screen?
Hold on a second. I will make
yeah.
sure that you have co-hosting privileges. Apologies.
No worries. It's a quick update. The superintendent Scott did much of the update from the community side.
Okay, you should have co-hosting privileges now.
Thank you. All right. So I'm representing Superintendent Ross. I'm her deputy, Dr. Hua Chu, and some updates. Let's see if I can do this in a slideshow to make it easier for all of us. my screen looks a bit wonky. Can you see it okay? All
It
right.
looks fine to me.
Oh, great, thanks. All right, so these are our goals for the year. And so I'm gonna go ahead and share some updates around Brooklyn North, what we're working on. You may have heard of our SEAL pilot. This is a social emotional academic learning pilot. We're engaging with a handful of schools using the data-wise process, marrying the MAP academic screener data with the DESA social emotional, triangulating it in supporting of teachers looking for ways to accelerate our student academic learning through their social emotional skills. We have a Shark Tank event, actually tomorrow night. High school student will be pitching their community service ideas for a chance of winning up to $8,000 in award. We also have our brand new HBCU virtual tour this Saturday. So parents, you can ask your school for the exact link to that. It's all virtual across all of our schools this Saturday. And lastly, we continue with our monthly parent coordinator training with the Family Leadership Institute. You have the dates. We have 2 more sessions, May 9th and June 13th. We were really proud to share this picture with you. Our very first time getting back together with all of our principals last month. This month we went back to virtual with the spike, and the purpose of the March convening was to introduce our elected officials to our principals, and did a little meet and greet there. Similarly, each month we come, we want to share with you the efforts around attendance, and we're holding at 80, I think this month is at 86%, and you'll see for District 15, the breakdown is such, mid 80s, and a couple of schools are still working on getting their attendance up. Please feel free to stop me if I'm moving too quickly. And this is our special education services, ensuring that each and every child's IEP services are met. Across the district, we've slowly edged up across the district. It's actually 88% as of last week, updated that. And then you'll see the District 15 schools breakdown here. Schools with lower alignment, they are having a harder time filling their special education vacancy. Reminder that Regents is coming fast and furious. So the schedule is posted. All of our schools have this. In fact, many of our schools started Regents prep on the weekends and after school. Superintendent Scott spoke a lot about summarizing. For high school, it is slightly different than the K-8 schools. We also have summer youth employment as part of our summer program, and it is also 6 weeks starting July 5th. And 2 more updates. The MAP growth, the 3rd screening window begins next week, and also the DESA screening, the 2nd of 2, also begins next week. I think with that, the last thing I wanted to share is our Big Apple teacher nominee screened over 100 applicants, and we were proud to share that we have 2 finalists from our Brooklyn North District, both female teachers and both from District 19. So with that, I am going to one more update on tests. So AP exam starts next week, and I think Camille, you have convened an AP hub meeting, I think, in a couple of Mondays. So thank you for that. So AP exam starts, and we're hoping more of our students will have access. And then I'll stop there and see if you have questions for me.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Please raise your hand if you have from the public comment, any questions or comments. To high school. Let's move to the CEC. Questions or comments? Camille.
Dr. Tu, thank you so much for being here. It's always great to see you. I wonder if you could talk to us about any freestanding STEM building opportunities. I know there's the one in the Navy Yard. Is that like what's happening with the relationship with any of our District 15 schools?
So Camille, you mentioned the Brooklyn Navy STEAM Center, and currently we have 9 high schools affiliated. I think you're right. We do not have a District 15 high school affiliated with it. I can check, but I think it's District 13. Where is it? I am not sure if there's conversation to expand. The Brooklyn STEAM Center supports not only Brooklyn North High School, but also Brooklyn South High School. So I don't have the information. I'll be happy to bring it back and see if Superintendent Prayer, who's the superintendent overseeing that site, can have more information and insight for us, if that's helpful.
Oh, so that space is actually for all of Brooklyn?
Yes, the Brooklyn STEAM Center, yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, so in that case, I would like to propose that we open another Brooklyn STEAM Center. Thank you.
It looks like we do have Maria.
Okay, yes, thank you for the opportunity to make a comment. I'm excited that someone mentioned the opportunities at the Navy Yard. We in Sunset Park, as you probably most of you know, we have the Brooklyn Army Terminal that prides itself in being a, I believe they talk more about biological sciences in collaboration with SUNY Downstate and a number of other collaborations there. And I and others in the neighborhood have approached different people connected to the, excuse me, sorry. My phone is about to die and I didn't realize that. I better plug in, otherwise I'm gonna be cut off. There we are. Thank goodness for electricity. And I think this is at the time to maybe explore, not instead of the Navy Yard, because we have so many children, so many young people that could probably benefit from different experiences, but also that as CEC15 explore the opportunities, and if not develop opportunities at Brooklyn Army Terminal. Half that place is sitting there empty. A great location, subway access, bus access, walk-to access. And to me, it's criminal that it is sitting there and not being used to its greatest potential, since again, it was developed with New York City taxpayer money. And a lot of the activities it is an EDC managed property. So I would love to participate and do whatever I can, and also in collaboration with Friends of Sunset Park, of which I'm the president. And we are a local, all volunteer organization, and the many families that we speak with and support in many ways in support of their children's education. So that last comment, and thank you, Camille, for giving the comment. And I'm sorry, I don't have the other person's name off the top of my head, that this is the moment. And to at least serve the middle schoolers and high schoolers. And as far as the providing what G&T programs promise, if not necessarily deliver, to every child. we can, Camille, you said you've been having this conversation for the past 7 years. When I returned to Sunset Park permanently, I was out of the neighborhood. I grew up in the neighborhood as a teenager, and there was a time that I lived outside of the neighborhood. When I returned in 1995, that conversation started for me. I could not believe what had not been going on, and even in 1990 and continued. It has improved, the schools have improved, but the overcrowding, the under-resourcing, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think you have to be a budget guru. You don't have to have a PhD in anything. Something is so amiss. And not only Sunset Park, but what I know best is Sunset Park. I've spoken with other people around the city in neighborhoods that have a similar history like Sunset Park, and it's almost carbon copy situations. So, hey, bad is there for the taking. It's empty, plenty of room, many interesting industries in there that can provide collaboration for STEAM enhancement. So let's go for it. Thank you.
Joseph, I think you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, my gosh. I was saying thank you, Maria, for your lovely contribution. I was handing it over to Nana for his presentation on the report Citywide Council on Special Education Conference.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. So for the sake of time, I'm going to try to keep this brief. So the annual IEP conference on Citywide Council on Special Education was held last month, March 26, 2022, from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This is a conference held and hosted every year by the Citywide Council on Special Education. Very informative, and I highly recommend all parents, especially parents with children with IEP, to be attending this annual conference. Some of the speakers and invited guests were Senator John Liu, a member of the New York State Senate for 11th District and Chairman of Education Policy, Caroline Quintanana, Deputy Chancellor of Teaching and Learning Opportunities, NYC Public Schools, and John Hammer, CEO of the Special Education. Some of the topics that were discussed during the panel discussions were, the first topic was autism, which is a panel discussion of building community. So this panel consisted of parents with children on the spectrum, peer advocates, head of NYC School Safety, Kenyatta Reed. Some of the highlights of the meeting, so the parents discussed challenges they face when they first found out their children was on the spectrum, and how the support system around them helped change their perspective. It is important as parents, our view change as children pick up on these cues. As one parent noted, when you find out your children is on the spectrum, it is in the beginning, it is a very scary journey. She started by thinking there was something wrong with her child. She reached out and was assigned an advocate who explained this wonderful place to be. The key is getting through this journey is having a supporting team to help open your mind and the way you look at it. Parents should not be embarrassed or ashamed, but teach others to be inclusive of their children. Parent advocate mentioned advocacy doesn't have to be adversarial. We can express frustrations without being disrespectful. Once your child is classified with a disability, they are no different from any other child. Engagement of your community, of them knowing who your children are, who your child is very important. The head of security, Kenyatta, also did mention that they are working closely with the current education as well as NYPD on how to de-escalate children with that on the spectrum. There's been some ongoing training that they have, and they've included the NYPD as well. The next part of discussion was from ableism to inclusion and its benefit to the entire community. So what is ableism? Ableism is discrimination in favor of able-bodied people. Ableism is a prejudice that people with disability are made to feel. It happens with language such as, you do not look disabled. Words as asking somebody, what is wrong with you? A student advocate gave an example as a 5-year-old kindergartner. He was always used to, he was always made to use the side door to the school, as no accommodation was made for him to use the regular entrance that all students were using. So as a child, he always wondered why he wouldn't enter the same place as other children. And that really had an effect and impact on him. We need to make student advocates for themselves so they know the support they have is support they have to do for a reason. Parent advocates talk about busing, where students with disabilities usually don't have friends on the block. That's why this District 50 initiative of actually bringing these 17 children within the district is very important, because usually children with disability are made to be segregated from other children within their community. The other panel discussion was what we call the assisted technology, which was presented by Max Seven. Assisted technology is creating tools for individuals with special needs. There's lots of support for hearing phones, low vision technologies, tools that a child can use. Some of the tools are, there's a special glass that is able to read when the prints are too small for the children. The great thing about AT is that it is free for all students, and it is part of your IEP form. Most parents do not know that because maybe that is not explained to them well. But as you go into the IEP form, there is a checkbox that you can check if you want your child to have what we call the assistant technology. Another good example is that kids that can currently is you can put on something called the browsers, which eliminates a lot of clutter. The other panel discussion was with Senator St. Lou, Senator John Liu, the chairman of Education Policy. Senator John Liu spoke about legislation level building framework to ensure students are being heard. He did acknowledge there is still a challenge to ensure students are being offered a platform to speak directly to legislative. Students are also encouraged to reach out directly to John Liu's office. They read all messages, although they may not respond to all messages, may be similar. Social and emotional learning was also discussed, and that is something that Senator John Liu's team is currently working on. I am going to leave my information in the chat. If you have any questions about anything that District 50 is doing currently to support your child with IEP, please feel free to reach out to the CEC. We're more than happy to connect you to people and also help you through the process as well. So I'm just going to pause right there. Joseph?
Thank you so much, Nana. That was really informative. It's time for us to move forward to, we have a couple of one resolution, and let's start with the recommendation, I guess. Who's doing that?
Joe?
Yes.
I want to just propose that we skip the resolution on the AA right now because it's not that time sensitive, and I see that the time is ticking, but we could actually push it towards the end because we might have to go into executive session to discuss the AA anyway.
Gotcha.
So maybe we could just, is everybody okay with that? We'll just move the AA resolution to the end of the meeting.
That's fine.
I see some head shaking. Okay. Antonia has something to say. Thank you,
I'm just
Alfred. Okay,
thumbs up.
thumbs up. Okay, I think that's, Vincent, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Okay, thank you. And I think I saw everybody else. Jared, is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So then let's just then move on to the next item.
So that would be our resolution, school-wide enrichment model.
Okay.
Okay, so Antonia is going to take over.
All right, I'll share my screen. We will not be voting on this tonight. We are correct. We're just sharing
Yep.
it, right? Okay. Okay, let me share. Okie dokie. All right. Resolution to support implementation of school-wide enrichment in D15. Whereas for the reasons set forth below, CEC15 hereby resolves to support the implementation of school-wide enrichment models, otherwise known as SEM. Whereas the school-wide enrichment model is a flexible research-based educational model founded by education psychologist Joseph Renzulli that applies the principles of enrichment to all students. Whereas SEM focuses on students' talents and interests through individualized opportunities for instruction within a rigorous expanded curriculum in the least restrictive environment. Whereas Renzulli defines giftedness not as an inherent characteristic, but as a behavior consisting of 3 rings. Gifted behavior is the moment when creativity, task commitment, and above average ability coalesce. SEM cultivates these behaviors through enrichment clusters, the general curriculum, and the continuum of pull out and push in services. Whereas studies in 2006 and 2007 show SEM to improve outcomes across different academic levels. And there are a series of footnotes there. Whereas conversely, 4 decades of studies show tracking the process of sorting students by academic metrics negatively impacts students placed in lower tracks, but detracking has no impact on high-performing students. Whereas in 2019, the School Diversity Advisory Group recommended that the DOE resource the creation of new programs, including school-wide enrichment programs that have been widely employed in other districts across the country to ensure that all students are challenged and that New York City continues to attract a broad section of students. Whereas SEM is a way to promote integration, expand enrichment to all students, reinforce material missed during the pandemic, and grow interest and enrollment in our district schools. Whereas schools in District 15, like PS 58, as well as Veritas Academy and Bell Academy in Queens, already employ SEM. And whereas with the support of parent leaders throughout the district, CEC15 and Superintendent Scott have been researching and discussing the creation of a school-wide enrichment approach at the elementary level pre-pandemic and plan to implement these ideas starting in the school year 2022-23. Therefore, be it resolved that all children are born with unique gifts and talents, and it is our responsibility as an education system to nurture and help each and every child discover their true potential through experiential learning and enriched curriculum, all of which can be accomplished through a school-wide enrichment model. Be it further resolved that starting in the school year 2022-23, the DOE phase in various SEMs throughout District 15, and be it resolved that District 15 provide the following key district and school supports: district support positions such as Deputy Chief of Advanced and Extended Learning and Manager of Academic Enrichment Programs, full-time SEM resource teacher at each school, SEM curriculum, SEM teams that include community volunteers, families, and caregivers, monthly SEM PDs provided by the district, summer SEM trainings and retreats for teachers and staff, and identify planning time for teachers and staff. That's it.
Okay. So we're doing CEC comments during this. Anyone have any questions or input on this draft? Okay. Yes, Camille.
I'll just speak because nobody else is speaking, but thank you. This is long past due and I fully support it. And I'd actually, if Anita is okay with speaking, I'd love to hear her input or if she thinks that we should add anything.
I actually think this is a brilliant resolution. And I love it and I want a copy of it because we're gonna try and make it happen in the way that you've described it. I love the idea of having somebody in my office who is specifically in charge of this. What I've seen, your commitment to this and the belief system that we have that all of our kids can learn from this is so deeply embedded in what District 15 is that it's inspiring. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
Vanessa raised her hand.
Vanessa, thank you.
I know we had a presentation recently about the need to have more literacy programs in schools, particularly concerning librarians in schools, specifically trained librarians. And I've been talking to principals around the district about implementing media literacy programs to train students on how to research and how to filter information that may be or may not be legitimate. So I wonder if these are items that could be added to this resolution to implement these programs in schools as part of the school enrichment model. I don't know if it will follow that model, but in its more general terms, I believe it will fit within that framework.
If I may add something, Vanessa, it actually fits beautifully because the idea of training kids to do research is part of this. They put forward a proposal of something they're interested in and they do research on it and they present it. And so knowing whether the information is factual or not, knowing whether it is, knowing how to do research from an early age is a wonderful opportunity for kids.
Perfect. So I would like an opportunity to add that to the resolution also, if that's okay with all the members.
Can we talk about it offline and sort of, because we're not voting on it now, so we can just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Camille? Oh, wait, you were thumbing.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just agreeing.
My tired eyes saw a hand being raised. Let's see. So let's talk about that offline, and then I think we're okay to move forward with new business.
Well, do you want to do public comment on this, Camille?
I know people were writing in the chat and it seemed like there was some support overall, but if anybody wants to make a comment or suggestion, or even, well, everybody has access to the document. So if you want to see any changes, modifications, feel free to send that to us, you know, take your time to think about it because we're not going to be voting on it anytime soon. Well, I mean, you know, not tonight.
Yeah.
So I guess like the next thing on the agenda is other new business. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? I know Nancy had wanted to suggest a bylaw change. She wanted
Yeah,
to
she's on a plane, so I was gonna do it.
Okay, go ahead.
So I am proposing an amendment to the bylaws. I can actually put it in the chat. It's page 14. We just wanted to add to our list of permanent committees, the diversity committee, which we want to rename the equity committee. It is currently an ad hoc committee. So we are proposing, there's a list of standing committees, which is currently the communications committee and the legislative committee. So we just want to add, I put it in the chat there, page 14, add equity committee to that list. So I believe we have to vote on it at our next meeting. Right, Camille?
I can
yeah.
check the bylaws right
Yeah,
now.
no, Nancy did, and that is the case. So we're introducing it now, and then we'll vote on it next meeting.
Okay, and
If
so
you guys
just
want the
for
exact
full
language about,
transparency, wait, the link that you put in is the link to the bylaws.
yeah, that's the whole
Where-
bylaws. So page 14 is the one that I'm talking about.
I'm scrolling down to page 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So basically, I just want to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So the existing line says this, and you and Nancy are just proposing to add the line so that it reads equity committee, right?
Yeah. And then here is the quotation about the procedure for amending the bylaws.
Just so that we don't have any confusion or conflict, can we just maybe screenshot this so that people can see the area?
Screenshot the chat, you mean?
Hold on a minute.
Or screenshot the bylaws, page 14. There you go.
Yeah. So that would basically be the change.
Yeah. Okay, there's the screenshot.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Okay, so then I guess we'll, so now what are we doing? We're putting it on, we're gonna vote at the business meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll add that to the May 10th business agenda.
Awesome.
Does anybody else have any new business that they would like to discuss?
Do you mind if I just tell you something very quickly? It's in the PowerPoint, but I do want you to be aware of it. 447 had a tragic death this week on the vacation. I don't know if you knew. A teacher, unfortunately, a lovely teacher named Federico Garduno passed away. He was killed in an accident with a falling tree. And so we've been supporting the school, but I did not want you not to know this. I think it's important for you to be aware of it. And it's a real tragedy at a school where they, a little over a year ago, they had an assistant principal literally was killed in the same way, a falling tree. So the school is really reeling from this, and just, if you have any dealings with them, be gentle and be grateful. We've sent enormous support. We've sent counselors, we've sent extra teachers from other schools to help with proctoring so that they feel very supportive, and we've been in constant contact with the school itself.
Thank you for that. And I think our final portion is public comment. If there's any general comments from the public, I open the floor. Please raise your hand. On that note, I think we will close our meeting out and then move to executive session.
Could we do the vote on the AA resolution? I just wanted to leave it to the end so that if people, wanted to get back to their families, they could, or if they want to hear the AA resolution, they certainly are welcome to stay.
Okay. Do you want to read it, Camille? Do you want me to put it up in the screen or?
Yeah, I can read it and you can put it up. So this is a resolution that we discussed at our last calendar meeting, I believe. And so we are going to just do all of the formalities of voting on it. It's a recommendation on the salaries for the position of secretary to the citywide and community education councils, otherwise known as the administrative assistant. Whereas the law, Article 52-A of the New York State Education Law, Sections 2590B and 2590C, New York Consolidated Laws, Education Laws, continuation of city board and establishment of community districts, establishment of the citywide council on special education, English language learners, and high school state the following. Okay, sorry. We have an edit. State the following. Each such council may appoint a secretary pursuant to the policies of the city board who shall perform the following functions: prepare meeting notices, agendas, and minutes, record and maintain accounts of proceedings and meetings, and prepare briefing materials and other related informational materials for such council. Each council shall be responsible for the appointment, supervision, evaluation, and discharge of the secretary. So that was the section of the law. And here's the resolution. Whereas secretaries who are qualified and competent are an integral part of well-functioning CCECs, whereas it has been difficult to find qualified and competent secretaries to fill vacancies that have occurred with more frequency in the past few years, whereas while there may be many reasons for the rise in secretarial vacancies, the low starting salaries can be pointed to as the main reason. Whereas it is known that CCECs in the past were able to offer candidates the highest level salary, which was then around $46,000 annually. Whereas it has been ascertained that the longest serving secretaries have been those who are earning the highest salaries. Whereas the latest salary offered to secretarial candidates is $30,085, which is near poverty levels and is not keeping up with inflation. Whereas recent qualified candidates offered the position declined since it would have resulted in a large pay cut. Another edit. Whereas discussions as to whether the position will be unionized have not resulted in a favorable outcome. Whereas the absence of interest in supporting CCEC secretaries implies a lack of respect for the duties and responsibilities of the CCECs that are provided for in the law. Whereas it is unconscionable that such disrespect results in deflation of secretary salaries toward a poverty level. Whereas at present, it has been reported that there are about 14 vacant secretary positions out of 36 CCECs. Whereas it appears that NYC DOE is balancing the budget on the backs of low salaried staff. Whereas CCECs have been forced to voluntarily deplete their budget in order to retain and/or hire qualified and competent secretaries to support their duties and responsibilities. Whereas it is necessary for CCECs to have a qualified and competent secretary to perform their duties and responsibilities as per the law. Therefore, be it resolved that in order to keep up with inflation, the NYC DOE immediately raised the entry salary level for the position of CCEC secretary to at least $46,000, which was the normal salary around the mid-2000s. Be it further resolved that a process be established to assure that the salary keeps up with inflation without necessitating CCECs to deplete their budgets. Be it resolved that CCECs that have volunteered to deplete their budget in order to raise the salary of the secretary position shall have the amount immediately reinstated in their budget. And be it further resolved that unionization of the secretary position continue to be explored, and be it further resolved that the NYC DOE departments responsible for carrying out these recommendations will be followed up with regularly, so that CCECs will be able to appoint and retain their most qualified and competent secretaries to support them in performing their duties and responsibilities as provided for in the law. So let's plan for those 3 edits.
I could do them right now if you could just sort of rattle them off for me. And
yeah, so the first one is in the first paragraph.
State the following.
Oh, you did that. Okay, you fixed that.
And then
the second one was the third from the bottom.
Recently?
Yeah, resulted in large pay cuts.
Oh. Okay.
Wait, recently qualified candidates offered the position declined since it would have resulted in large pay cuts, right?
Oh, okay. In large pay cuts. In a large pay cut. In a large pay cut.
That's what it says. I don't know. I mean, we've had multiple candidates, but okay.
So then it is plural. Then it should be plural.
Yeah.
In large. Okay.
And then the last one was in the last resolved.
The last resolved.
I didn't write it down. That's the DOE defense. will be followed up with regularly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So then public comment, anyone? Not seeing any hands raised for public comment. We can, Joanna, go ahead.
I just very quickly wanted to offer my wholehearted support for this. Thank you for daylighting these pay inequities. And it's outrageous that we're paying DOE staff poverty levels. And it's not just this title, the school aides, parent coordinators. It's awful. So wholehearted support from this citizen and parent.
Thank you. Joe, do you want to take over? I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine. CEC contributions on this? I think we've discussed it twice. It's a good resolution.
Would anyone like to make a motion to vote?
I make a motion to vote.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second the motion.
Thank you, Nana. Antonia, please call the roll.
Hold on, I'm trying to get to the point in my notes to put this. How do you vote, Camille?
I approve.
Antonia approves. Tia?
Approve.
Nana?
Approve.
Vincent?
Approve.
Alfred?
Approve.
Okay. Joseph?
Approve.
Nancy's not on the call still, right? Vanessa?
Approve.
Nakia?
Approve.
Okay. The resolution passes.
Thank you, everyone. And again, sorry about no video here, but at least I'm on. Okay, so we are almost at the end of, well, we're certainly at the end of our agenda, unless anybody has further public comments that they would like to share. If there are no general public comments, you could comment about anything at all. I thought I just saw somebody, but maybe they came off the call. And do we still have anybody in the interpretation line? Linda or is there anyone in the interpretation line? Miguel?
Yes, I asked. I guess nobody's in the Spanish line right now. I asked. Nobody answered there.
Okay. And on the Mandarin line, any comments? Any general comments on the Mandarin line?
This is a Mandarin interpreter speaking. There's no comment on the Mandarin line.
Okay, thank you so much. So to our interpreters, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session, and it's going to be to discuss the hiring of our administrative assistant. And no members of the public are not able to attend the executive session. So we are going to be putting people into the waiting room, and we will likely be ending the meeting when we come out of executive session. Anybody who wants to wait, feel free to stay in the waiting room and we'll bring you back in when we're done. So if you could just give that message to the interpretation line, I would appreciate it.
Shall we vote to go into executive session and then I'll put people in the waiting room, Camille?
Oh, yeah, I was just waiting for
Oh, okay.
the manager in line to finish.
This is Mandarin interpreter speaking. I already finished the announcement. There's no one that need help in the Mandarin line right now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So at this time, I would like to say goodnight to everybody who's writing that in the chat. Thank you so much. And make a motion to go into executive session. And I would like to invite our FACE representative, Steve Weiser, if that's okay with everyone.
I second the motion. Do we have to roll call vote this?
Sure, yes.
Camille?
Approved.
Antonia, I approve. Tia? Approve. Vincent?
Approve.
Nana?
Approve.
Alfred?
Approve.
Joseph?
Approve.
Vanessa?
Approve.
And Nakia?
Approve.
Okay. Okay, now I will start moving people into the waiting room.
And this is Mandarin interpreter speaking. Do you need the interpreter to stay on for the part?
No.
I don't think that we do. I wanted to ask Steve about that.
No, there is one other person in the Mandarin interpretation line, but the Spanish interpreters, there's no one else there, so they could be dismissed. I would just dismiss everyone.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, interpretation team. Great job.
Thanks, interpreters.
Thank you. So we're leaving now. Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. I'm sorry. You're welcome.
All right, it looks like we're getting there.
Oh, and then we have to pause the tape.
Okay.
I'll do that. Who's doing that? Are you sure you want to? No, do not stop recording. Cancel. Do not stop. Okay, so we're recording, right?
Yep.
Okay. So it is now 9:11 and we are officially out of executive session. We went into the session at 9 p.m. and forgot to mention that, but we just received an update from our FACE liaison regarding the status of the hiring of our administrative assistant. So with that being said, it is now 9:12, and if everybody is good to go, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second the motion.
All right, have a wonderful night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Night.
Good night.